He drove himself. He was having shortness of breath at home on August 10th. It was a Monday evening. So he drove himself from his home in El Reno to Yukon Integris. And they admitted him that evening for pneumonia. They did a chest x-ray and did a COVID test, but it didn't come back until the next day. But he was in overnight. The hospital called me because I was his contact person, emergency, and needed to consent to some papers, to some forms, and that's when they told me that he had been admitted. And I got to talk to him, just asked how he felt, and he didn't want us to worry. We were on the road, my wife and I, and he didn't want anybody to worry, which is why he drove himself. And he's old school, kind of, but
he's independent.
Yeah,
very independent. That Tuesday afternoon, my younger brother Ralph was there in the hospital room with our dad, and the doctor came in with the results of the test and informed my dad that his results were positive. Yeah.
In the beginning of the pandemic, my father, he was staying home and he wasn't going anywhere. And
right.
A couple of our nieces or his granddaughters, they were taking stuff over there. Sarah was one, our niece Rachel, she was, dropping stuff off to him, making sure he had all his needs met. Like, even when everything started to open up, we were trying to get him to get out, maybe try to stretch his legs a little, and he stayed home, and he was being really careful. And then as time went on, I noticed he got more and more lax. The last time I went by his house before he went into the hospital, I didn't even go in his house. We just talked on the porch.
I think that our dad, contracted the virus. He was a very caring man. He never turned anyone away who came to him for help. And the help that he could provide was, run me to the store, run me to go pay my utility bill,
loan a few dollars here and there.
Yeah, and he would help. He would help others with money that he had, and but that's where I think that he contracted the virus.
The mentality that's out, with some people, that this isn't real or that the mask doesn't work. My 14-year-old daughter, she goes to school here in Thomas, and a lot of the kids ridicule her because she wears a mask, and they tell her this isn't real, or that they wish they would catch this COVID. And she tells them, go tell that to my grandpa. I lost my grandpa to this. But these people, these children, they're hearing it from their parents. They're seeing it in the media, and they're thinking that this isn't real, and it's only going to endanger them. You see these people, these non-believers that are in a hospital in the ICU, changing their minds, changing their outlooks on it once they're affected by it. And, it's just unfortunate that my dad had to go this way through exposure, and, the day we found out he was in a hospital, I went and got tested before I went to see him in a hospital. And, I talked to my brothers and sisters before I went up there, and, I told him I was going to go see him, but I got tested first before I was going to be around him, not knowing that he had, that he was positive yet. And, I went up to the hospital. They let me into his room, and both of us were wearing our mask. We were both wearing our mask. And I was in the hospital room when the nurse came in to tell him that he tested positive. And I stood 6 feet away from him with our masks on. And, we talked about positive things after we cried a little bit. We tried to be positive. And that was the last time I got to talk to my dad. And That's the last time I got to talk to my dad in person. You know, the last thing he told me, you know, we said to each other, you know, we couldn't hug or shake hands, but we bumped knuckles and we both said we love each other. You know, and that's what, you know, my dad wasn't a man to show his emotions, but, you know, it felt good to hear him say he loved me, you know. And that was the last time I see my dad in person. But when I hear all these people say that masks don't work, I stood next to a man that had it, and we both wore our mask, and I tested 5 days later negative. You know, been tested negative. And I'm still tested negative. I get tested regularly, and we all try to wear our mask. And you know, it frustrates me to hear these people say that this isn't real. You know, when my dad had to go the way he did, and, you know, it's not fair. It really isn't. You know, that man, like we said, he was healthy. He probably had 5-10 more years in him, easily. But, you know, this pandemic is just, it's changing the world, and it's changing the way we live now.
When his wife passed away, Evelyn, she was fortunate to have her whole family around her. Yeah. Holding her hand, talking to her. And this family couldn't do that with their dad. They had to stand outside a window and look in at him, because they couldn't be there. They couldn't hold his hand. They couldn't stroke his hair. And if that's what it takes to get people to realize that this is real, the idea that they can't be with their loved one when they're sick, then tell them that.